The lab was cold and silent, except for the soft hum of machines and the occasional clatter of metal. Inside, a young prototype stirred, his eyes opening slowly to a world that had already laughed at him. He was built to be humanity's last hope, a perfect human in design, but weak in the eyes of others. The scientists laughed as they examined him, calling him useless, broken, a mistake. He tried to speak, tried to show that he was aware, but their laughter drowned out his voice. In the corner of the lab, a small cage held a mysterious female captor, her eyes wide with fear and hope. She whispered softly, almost too quiet for anyone to hear, "Hold me, use me, just get me out of here." The prototype's heart reacted in a way he did not understand, a spark of curiosity and purpose. He wanted to help, but he knew that the world outside the lab did not care about him. Every step he took was watched, every move analyzed, yet he felt something stir inside, a desire to act. Scientists continued their cruel experiments, testing his strength and patience. They pushed him to run, to lift, to fight, and when he failed, they mocked him more. He remembered the whispers from the girl, her hope clinging to him like a fragile flame. She was scared, trembling as the guards walked past, but she never stopped calling to him. Her voice was soft, broken, but filled with something he could not ignore. One day, chaos erupted in the lab, alarms blaring, red lights flashing. The prototype did not know why, but instinct took over. He moved fast. He ran past machines sparking with electricity, past doors that would not open. The female captive watched him, her eyes pleading for him to come closer. He reached the cage, his hands trembling as he tried to unlock it. The key was heavy, the lock stubborn, but he managed to twist it. The cage door creaked open, and she stepped out, her face a mixture of relief and fear. They had no time to talk, no time to understand each other fully. The guards were coming, shouting orders, their voices full of anger and mockery. The prototype grabbed her hand, feeling the warmth, the life, the hope. They ran together down narrow corridors, the alarms screaming around them. Machines shook, sparks flew, and the lab seemed to collapse around them. Every step was dangerous, every turn uncertain, but they could not stop. The prototype felt strength he did not know he had, power born from the need to protect. The girl whispered again, "Don't let them take me. Don't let them take me." Suddenly, the corridor ended in a locked gate, heavy and unyielding. The prototype's hands shook as he looked for a way, the guards drawing closer. He saw a small panel on the wall, wires exposed. A chance, maybe, to escape. He pressed and pulled, sparks flying, heart pounding, adrenaline surging. The gate slid open slowly, and they both slipped through. Into darkness. Behind them, the lab was chaos. Screams and laughter mixed together. Ahead, unknown dangers waited, but the prototype felt something new. He was not just a failed experiment anymore. He was someone who could act, someone who could fight, someone who could protect, someone who could survive. And the girl's whisper followed him. A promise, a plea, a reason to keep going. The prototype and the girl ran through the dark corridors, their hearts pounding in unison. The lab behind them seemed endless, machines sparking, alarms screaming, and guards shouting. Every turn they took felt like a trap, every shadow hiding danger. The prototype held her hand tightly, feeling the warmth and fear in her small fingers. She looked at him with wide eyes, whispering, "We have to get out. They will catch us." They found themselves in a room that smelled of metal and oil. Strange machines hummed and moved on their own, wires dangling from the ceiling. The prototype realized they were in a testing chamber, a place where experiments went wrong. Guards appeared suddenly from hidden doors, their eyes cold, their weapons ready. The girl gasped, and the prototype stepped in front of her, ready to fight. He pushed himself harder than ever before, running faster, dodging obstacles. A machine slammed into the wall, sending sparks flying dangerously close. The girl clung to him, whispering encouragement. "You can do it. Don't give up." He felt his strength growing, not from his body but from the need to protect her. Every test they faced seemed impossible, but they survived, barely. The guards continued to pursue them, relentless and merciless. They split up, trying to corner them from different sides, their footsteps echoing like thunder. The prototype realized that brute strength alone would not save them. He needed a plan, a way to outsmart those who thought they controlled everything. He glanced at the machines around him, ideas forming, sparks of hope in his mind. In one corner, he saw a console with buttons and levers, wires exposed. He pressed one carefully, and a trapdoor opened beneath a guard's feet. The guard fell with a shout, and the others hesitated, giving the prototype a chance. He grabbed the girl and ran through a hidden passage revealed by the console. Darkness swallowed them, but the prototype felt alive, alert, and determined. They reached a large chamber filled with strange creatures, some watching, some sleeping. The girl froze in fear, but he whispered, "Stay close. We can do this together." One of the creatures stirred, opening glowing eyes, its gaze curious and cautious. The prototype realized that not all in this lab were enemies. Some could be allies. He took a deep breath, ready to face the unknown, ready to protect her no matter what. Time seemed to slow as they navigated through the chamber. Every step was dangerous. Every noise could mean discovery or death. The girl whispered again, "We have to survive. Please don't let them take me." Her voice fueled him, gave him strength, and reminded him of his purpose. He was no longer just a prototype, a mocked experiment. He was a protector, a fighter, a hope. Suddenly, a loud alarm blared, different from the others, more urgent, more terrifying. The prototype grabbed her hand, and they ran toward a glowing exit at the far end. The door was heavy, but he pushed with all his strength. Sparks flying from the frame, they slipped through just as more guards appeared, their shouts echoing in frustration. For the first time, they felt a small taste of freedom, but danger still waited ahead. The girl looked at him, eyes shining with trust and fear. He nodded silently, knowing this was only the beginning of a longer, deadlier journey. Somewhere in the shadows, someone was watching, plotting, waiting for them to fail. But the prototype and the girl ran together, hearts beating, hope rising, and courage growing. They were alive, they were together, and they were ready for whatever came next. The prototype and the girl paused in a narrow hallway, catching their breath. The glowing lights above flickered, casting long shadows that seemed to watch them. For the first time, the girl spoke clearly, her voice trembling but determined. "We can't keep running. We need a plan." The prototype nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility heavier than ever. He had survived tests, traps, and attacks, but now he understood that cunning mattered more than strength. They moved silently through the dark corridors, avoiding guards and cameras. Every turn revealed new dangers. Rooms filled with strange experiments, cages with unknown creatures, and blinking alarms. The prototype realized the lab was larger and stranger than anyone had ever imagined. He stopped in front of a heavy metal door, listening carefully, hearing whispers from inside. Inside were files, charts, and devices that revealed the truth about the experiments. The girl gasped. "They're using humans and aliens, trying to create something stronger, something dangerous." The prototype's heart raced. This was bigger than just their escape. He studied the charts, realizing that the lab's leaders were careless and overconfident. If they acted smart, they could use the lab itself against their enemies. He whispered to the girl, "We have to learn everything, every secret, every weakness." They spent hours moving quietly through the lab, memorizing corridors and traps. Every discovery increased the tension. Hidden cameras, silent drones, and guards who seemed to know their every move. The girl helped by finding keys, pressing buttons, and watching the shadows. Her courage inspired the prototype, giving him strength beyond his design. Together, they became more than an experiment and a captive. They became a team, a force, a spark of hope. But the lab was not idle. It sensed their rebellion. Alarms began to blare again. Doors slammed, lights flashed, and distant voices shouted, "Find them. They cannot escape." The prototype grabbed the girl's hand, pulling her into a maintenance tunnel. The metal walls rattled as they ran, their footsteps echoing like drum beats of war. The girl whispered, "Do you think we can do it? Really escape?" He looked at her, eyes burning with determination. "We have to. We will. They cannot stop us if we are smart." In the tunnel, they discovered a hidden control panel, dusty and unused. The prototype pressed buttons carefully, watching. Monitors flickered to life. Images of guards, labs, and experiments appeared, giving them knowledge that could change everything. He smiled faintly, realizing the lab's arrogance had given them a chance, a way to fight back. The girl looked at him, hope rising in her eyes. "We can turn this against them." right?" The prototype nodded, his mind racing, planning every step, every diversion, every risk. But they both knew one mistake could end everything. The lab's leaders were clever, cruel, and relentless, and somewhere in the shadows, someone was already watching, learning, waiting for them to slip. They crept through the corridors, setting small traps, opening doors that led to confusing pathways. Every sound, every movement, every shadow became a part of their plan. The girl whispered strategies, and the prototype executed them with precision. Together, they were not just survivors, they were planners, rebels, and fighters. But the tension grew with every step, knowing that freedom was close, but danger was closer. At the end of the tunnel, they paused, hearing footsteps approaching. Closer than ever, the girl held her breath, clutching the prototype's arm, fear and trust mingling in her eyes. He nodded silently, ready to face whatever came, ready to fight for life, ready to survive. And in that moment, they both knew that the next move could decide everything. The escape was not just about running anymore. It was about outsmarting the entire lab. The prototype and the girl moved silently through the lab's twisting corridors. Every step was careful. Every sound could mean discovery or death. They reached a large room with reinforced doors, blinking lights, and guards patrolling outside. The prototype studied the locks and panels, trying to remember everything he had learned. The girl whispered, "This is it. Our chance. We have to get through now." He nodded, taking a deep breath, feeling the tension rise like fire in his chest. He pressed buttons, twisted wires, and the locks clicked slowly. The guards outside shifted nervously, unaware that the door would soon open. The prototype and the girl slipped through the door as quietly as shadows. The room beyond was dark, filled with strange machines, cables, and the smell of oil. Suddenly, alarms blared loudly, red lights flashing everywhere. The prototype grabbed the girl, running toward a side exit, sparks flying from broken panels. The guards had discovered them, shouting and firing weapons that barely missed. They dodged, ducked, and ran through narrow passageways, every corner a possible trap. The girl gasped, holding tightly to his hand. "They are everywhere. What do we do?" The prototype saw a ventilation shaft above, small but just big enough for both of them. He helped the girl climb first, then pulled himself up quickly. The shaft was dark and narrow, metal scraping against their skin. Every movement was dangerous, but it was their only chance. They crawled silently, hearing the guards below, their voices echoing, growing louder. Suddenly, a shadow moved inside the shaft ahead of them, blocking their way. The prototype froze, heart pounding, then realized it was a small drone, its lights blinking. He used a piece of wire to short-circuit it, sparks flying as it fell silently to the floor below. The girl whispered, relieved, "You are amazing. I knew we could do it." He smiled faintly, but did not relax. Knowing danger was far from over, the ventilation shaft led them to another corridor. Dimly lit, almost abandoned, they ran, ignoring the burning in their legs, ignoring fear that wanted to stop them. Ahead, they saw the final exit, a massive door leading to the outside world, but it was locked, heavily reinforced, and guarded by a dozen armed figures. The prototype gritted his teeth, remembering every trick, every plan, every weak point he had learned. He motioned to the girl to hide, then activated a small device he had taken from the lab. A blinding flash and loud noise erupted, throwing the guards into confusion. He ran to the door, using every ounce of strength, and it slowly began to open. The girl joined him, both hearts racing. Knowing the guards would recover soon, they slipped through the door, out into the cool night air, breathing freedom for the first time in days. But their relief was brief. The lab alarms still blaring, drones flying above, guards shouting in the distance. The prototype and the girl ran through the dark forest beyond the lab, shadows hiding them from sight. They could hear footsteps behind, feel eyes watching, danger, waiting to strike again. The girl clutched his arm, whispering, "Do you think we can survive? Really survive?" He looked ahead, determination burning in his eyes. "We have to. We will put together." As they disappeared into the night, the lab behind them shook with fury and chaos. The prototype realized that freedom was not the end, but the beginning of a new battle. The girl whispered softly, "Thank you for saving me, for fighting." He only nodded, knowing words were useless against what was coming. Somewhere in the dark, new dangers waited. But for now, they had survived. They had escaped. They were alive. The forest was dark, cold, and silent around the prototype and the girl. Every shadow seemed alive, every rustle of leaves a possible threat. They ran as fast as they could, hearts pounding, lungs burning. Behind them, the lab's alarms still blared, drones hovering, and guards chasing relentlessly. Freedom felt close, but danger was closer than ever. The girl stumbled over a root, falling to the ground with a gasp. The prototype stopped instantly, grabbing her hand and helping her up. Her eyes were wide with fear, but also trust, and he felt a surge of determination. "We can make it," he whispered. Though he knew the odds were against them, every step forward was a battle, every breath a small victory. Ahead, they saw a cliff, and beyond it, the faint glow of a river, a possible escape. The lab guards were closing in, shouting orders, firing weapons. The prototype's mind raced, looking for a way to protect her and himself. He realized the only way to survive was to create a diversion, something daring, something dangerous. He whispered quickly, "Listen to me. We have to split for a moment. I'll slow them down." The girl's eyes widened, panic mixing with trust. "No, I cannot leave you. Please don't." He smiled faintly. "You must. It is the only way. I will find you." With that, he ran forward, drawing the attention of the guards. He fought with every ounce of strength, using rocks, fallen branches, and his own body to block their path. The girl watched, hiding behind trees, praying silently, her heart in her throat. The prototype led the guards on a wild chase. Dodging bullets and traps, he reached the edge of the cliff, daring the enemies to follow. With a loud roar, he pushed a fallen log toward them, causing chaos and confusion. The guards stumbled, some falling, some retreating in fear. He used the moment to leap down the cliff carefully, pain shooting through his legs. Below, the girl ran toward him, her steps swift and desperate. They met at the riverbank, gasping for breath, soaked and exhausted. The river's current was strong, but it promised safety, freedom, and hope. The prototype helped her into the water, then followed, holding her hand tightly. Together, they let the current carry them away, leaving the lab and its horrors behind. But the prototype knew the fight was not over. Not completely. The lab would recover, would hunt, would try again. Yet in this moment, with the girl safe and alive, he felt victory, small but real. She looked at him with tears in her eyes. "We made it. You saved me. You were my hope." He nodded silently, words useless against the flood of relief and emotion. They floated down the river, the dark forest behind them slowly fading. The night was quiet now, only the sound of water in their hearts. "Beating," the girl whispered. "What will happen now? Will they come after us?" The prototype looked ahead, determination burning. "Let them come. We are ready. We are alive." Freedom was theirs, but it came with the knowledge that sacrifice, courage, and trust had brought them here. As the sun began to rise, light glimmered through the trees. The girl smiled, hope in her eyes, feeling safe for them. First time in days, the prototype watched the horizon, ready for whatever came next. He was no longer just a mocked experiment. A prototype, he was a hero, a protector, a symbol of hope, and together they disappeared into the light, alive, free, and unbroken.